Welcome to the deep dive, where we really try to cut through the noise. We stack up our sources and, well, bring you the most important bits of knowledge.
That's the goal.
And today we're plunging into a topic that honestly subtly shapes almost everything: how media shapes our consciousness itself.
It really does.
Our mission for this deep dive is to properly unpack how media went from just, a news tool to this really powerful force, influencing what we think, how we think, our beliefs.
Even how we see ourselves and each other. It's huge.
Exactly. And the influence is often so unseen, right?
Yeah.
Baked into our daily lives.
Absolutely. And to get a handle on it, we've pulled together, well, quite a mix of sources for this deep dive. We're looking at behavioral psychology, political science, economic insights.
And even some really cutting-edge research on digital platforms, too.
Yeah, the whole spectrum.
So buckle in. We're about to explore these invisible threads connecting media to our minds. Let's start with some foundational psychology. It's amazing how media kind of uses our own mental shortcuts, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Even if you consciously disagree with an idea, just seeing it repeated over and over again.
Like in ads or news headlines or even memes.
Exactly. That repetition can subtly trick your subconscious. It starts to feel familiar, maybe even true. This isn't just, clever marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel laureate.
Yeah, thinking fast and slow.
That's him. He called this the mere exposure effect.
Yes.
It's like this quiet whisper that just keeps going until it feels like your own thought. It kind of bypasses your critical thinking.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unsettling. So just repeating something makes it stick, even if we don't actively choose to believe it.
Pretty much.
And then there's the other side of that coin, confirmation bias. Media outlets are really good at exploiting this one, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. They know if they feed you narratives you already lean towards, you're much more likely to click, to watch, to engage.
Right, because it feels comfortable. It confirms what you already think.
Precisely. And that creates what people call intellectual echo chambers. Imagine being in a room where, well, everyone just nods along with everything you say.
Your own thoughts just bouncing back at you.
Exactly. That's what these online spaces can become. You get constantly reinforced through your existing beliefs. It makes those beliefs stronger, sure, but it also really widens the gap between different groups.
Yeah.
Socially, politically.
It makes it incredibly hard to even hear another perspective, let alone consider it.
Yeah, the walls go up.
And this influence, it's not just about politics or news headlines, is it? It seeps much deeper into our culture, our social fabric.
Oh, absolutely. Media plays a massive role in defining our standards.
Yeah.
What's considered beautiful, what does success look like, happiness, freedom even.
And often those definitions seem to align very neatly with commercial interests, right? Buy this, look like that, then you'll be happy or successful.
That's a huge part of it.
Uh-huh.
And the consequences are significant. Think about younger generations especially.
Yeah.
Well, if you're constantly comparing yourself to these, often totally unrealistic media, portrayals, perfect lives on social media, flawless bodies in ads.
It creates this impossible standards.
It does. And that gap between the manufactured reality and your own lived reality, it can lead to real increases in anxiety, depression, even identity issues. It's a source of genuine distress for a lot of people.
And we've also seen how media can powerfully reinforce really harmful stereotypes based on race, religion, gender.
Definitely. Consider how some Western media outlets have, historically or even currently, portrayed Muslims primarily through the lens of extremism that directly fuels Islamophobia.
Or, flip side, think about state media in authoritarian countries, how they might systematically paint dissidents or critics as, like, traitors to the nation.
Yeah, it's a classic tactic to silence opposition, control the narrative, control the people. It's a potent tool for shaping perception.
Which, I guess, raises the big question connecting all this. Who actually benefits from having this level of control over the stories we hear and the way we see the world?
That's the crucial question.
Well, if you follow the money, follow the power. It seems pretty clear there are influential hands steering these narratives. In politics, there's this tactic called perception management. What exactly is that?
Perception management, well, it's essentially the strategic manipulation of information. The goal is either to glorify a political leader, a policy, whatever, or to vilify an opponent.
Making someone look good, someone else look bad, basically.
In a nutshell, yes.
Yeah.
But it can be very sophisticated. We've seen it play out in loads of elections. Remember the Cambridge Analytica scandal?
Oh, yeah, the data breach. That was huge.
Exactly. It showed how micro-targeted political ads were being sent to individuals based on, frankly, incredibly detailed psychological profiles, harvested from their online activity.
So they weren't just showing ads, they were pushing specific psychological buttons.
Precisely. Crafting narratives designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities or resonate with particular anxieties or beliefs.
And this isn't just about individual campaigns, is it? It connects to that bigger, maybe more controversial argument from Chomsky and Herman in Manufacturing Consent.
It's a seminal work, yeah. Their argument, quite provocative at the time and still relevant, was that media isn't just accidentally biased sometimes. It's often systemically structured to serve the interests of the powerful political and economic elites.
So it's not always overt censorship, like banning stories.
Not necessarily. It's often more subtle, a filtering process. Which stories get prominence? How are they framed? Which sources are quoted? It subtly shapes the narrative to align with certain agendas, making the media seem independent while actually serving specific interests.
Right, and that ties directly into how, big money, political donations, economic interest can really threaten press freedom.
Absolutely. Think about direct funding. A politician, a party, a corporation might give grants to a media outlet or buy huge amounts of advertising.
Or even buy shares, take an ownership stake.
Exactly. That creates a massive potential conflict of interest, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're not likely to bite the hand that feeds you. How much critical reporting just evaporates because of that?
It's hard to quantify, but the pressure is undeniable. That financial dependence makes outlets much less likely to criticize their funders. And beyond direct funding, think about media ownership itself.
How so?
Well, many major media corporations are now part of these enormous conglomerates. They own loads of other businesses, banks, manufacturing, tech, real estate, you name it.
So reporting critically on, say, banking practices might hurt the parent company's other interests.
Precisely. It creates inherent conflicts of interest that actively discourage reporting on certain topics. Why expose something that could damage another part of your own corporation's bottom line?
Makes sense. And then there's just the basic business model for many outlets, advertising revenue.
The primary income source for so many. This reality pushes them, often subtly, towards prioritizing safe content, stuff that won't offend advertisers or large audience segments.
So it's not necessarily someone saying, don't run that story, but more of a quiet self-censorship to keep the business afloat.
Often, yes. It's about managing risk, financial risk, advertiser risk,
Yeah.
maintain viability.
And the consequences of all these entrenched interests, what do we see happening?
Well, several things. We definitely see a decline in truly independent journalism. Outlets that align closely with powerful political or economic interests often flourish. They get the resources.
While the genuinely independent ones struggle.
They face huge challenges.
Yeah.
Financial pressures, sometimes legal ones. It's harder for them to survive, let alone thrive.
And the impact on public opinion must be huge. Media becomes less of a watchdog, more of a tool for pushing specific agendas.
That's the risk.
Yeah.
It can lead to widespread misinformation, even the deliberate concealment of truth. And when people can't figure out what's real, what does that do to trust?
It tanks, presumably.
Exactly. It leads directly to an erosion of public trust in news sources generally, which ironically fuels the spread of fake news because people don't know who or what to believe anymore. They become skeptical of everything or latch into things that fit their biases.
And it also means dissenting voices get pushed to the margins.
Yes. Journalists, activists, anyone exposing corruption or criticizing powerful figures can face campaigns to discredit them. Defamation, financial squeezes, legal harassment. It's a way to silence critical viewpoints.
So if the traditional media landscape had these issues, the digital world, algorithms, social media, this just poured gasoline on the fire, hasn't it?
In many ways, yes. New media, algorithmic control, it's made manipulation potentially much more precise, more targeted, and often more insidious.
How do the algorithms play into this on platforms like Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X?
Well, their core design, generally speaking, is to maximize engagement. Keep you scrolling, keep you watching. So the algorithms prioritize content that achieves that. Often that means sensational, emotional, or highly engaging content.
Even if it's misleading or factually wrong.
Accuracy or importance often takes a backseat to profitability and engagement metrics. If misleading content keeps users hooked, it gets amplified.
And this connects to filter bubbles, right? Eli Pariser's idea.
Exactly. These algorithms personalize your feed so much that they can effectively isolate you from opposing viewpoints. You end up in this bubble where you mostly see things you already agree with, which can definitely foster extremism and division.
And Shoshana Zuboff's work, The Age of Surveillance,